By now we know that the aim of the opening is to develop your pieces and activate them in order to prepare for the battle in the middle game. You can play your knights without even moving any pawn, but in order to play your bishops, you will need to open diagonals. And here, as we said, we're going to play our central pawn, ideally. The center is where your pieces are the most efficient. By doing so, this opens a diagonal for one bishop and for the second bishop. In the opening, we want to make only useful pawn moves, which means 2 to 3 pawn moves maximum. Why? Because if you make too many pawn moves, first, your position is going to be weaker, and also you're losing time. We call this a tempo in chess. You're losing tempi. Every pawn that has been played without necessity is a lost opportunity to develop a piece. So if you let your opponent develop more piece, the opponent can launch an attack on you and you won't have enough pieces to defend. Now if you remember the last position in the previous lesson, it came after these moves. And here we counted how many pawn and piece moves each player made. So we saw that black made 1, 2, 3 pawn moves and 1, 2 piece moves. So black has played 3 pawns and developed 2 pieces. White has played 1 pawn, 2, here he played this pawn, and then here, and he has developed 1 piece. Also, we have seen that this pawn has been played twice. As we already know that each unnecessary pawn move is a lost opportunity to develop a piece, we can say that those 2 moves with the h-pawn are 2 lost opportunities to play pieces. So instead of moving this pawn twice, white could have developed 2 pieces. And that makes a big difference. Now let's have a look at this game. You already know, bad move. Good move from black. Another bad move. Developing a knight. White played his e-pawn twice. Now we can count. It's very useful in chess, and we'll see that in the next lessons. But here, for example, white has played 1 move, second move, 3 moves, 3 pawn moves, and a light piece. And black has played 1, 2 pawn moves, and 2 light pieces. Black's development is better, and black has a better position already, even though white plays first. Normally, white should be always a tempo ahead in development. Again, same thing. By playing the same pawn twice, white has lost a tempo. And now it shows here in the position, because white has only 1 light piece developed, the bishop. So now we know that playing a pawn twice is a lost opportunity to develop a piece. We're losing a tempo. Logically, this would apply to pieces also. So if we play the same piece twice in the opening, we lose an opportunity to play another piece, to develop another piece. So let's see this example. Controlling the center. Good development from white. Black opens the diagonal of the c8 bishop. Now the c8 bishop has a good diagonal, but on the other side he's closing the diagonal for the f8 bishop. Developing this bishop. Another development. So now you see, if we count, we have 3 pieces developed for white and 3 pieces for black. Even though this bishop is a bit closed because of the pawn. Now white makes a second move with the bishop, giving check, expecting probably that black would play his knight, and then he could maybe exchange. However, black attacks the bishop with the pawn, the bishop retreats, That's the third move with the bishop. Another attack on the bishop. Fourth move. Now threatening the bishop again. Again an attack. And fifth move. So this bishop has moved 5 times. And he has disappeared now. White, by moving his bishop several times, has allowed black to control more space. You see black's pawn structure is controlling more space. And now if we count the moves, what's left here, look, white has 1, 2, 3 pawn moves and 2 minor pieces. That's 5. And black has 1 pawn move here, 2 pawn moves, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, plus 2 minor pieces. You see, black, even though white played first, is much better developed. Why is that? Because white has lost time moving his bishop too many times. That's what we call a tempo. Losing a tempo allows your opponent to develop. Black took the initiative by attacking the bishop, and the bishop had to retreat. You see, that's why you should not play the same piece twice, or even worse, 3, 4, 5 times in the opening. Of course, if you are in the endgame, there will be only a few pieces on the board, and you will have to play the same pieces many times. But in the opening, it's a bit different. The aim of the opening is to mobilize all your pieces in a minimum amount of time. It's a kind of race. The first player who has developed all his pieces is ready to launch an attack. And now we have our next rule for the opening, which is don't play the same piece twice. Let's see another example. You see, white plays the pawn twice. That's bad. Black plays the second pawn. Already now, if you look at the board, you see that black has played 2 pawns and white only 1. Developing 1 minor piece each. Moving the same piece twice. Moving the same piece twice. Another pawn move. Look at white's position. We said that we want to push the central pawns and as much as possible leave the edge pawn intact with those 3 and those 3. Avoid pushing them without reason. And here is the opposite. White has pushed his edge pawns and no central pawns. You see, black has developed 2 pieces, white only 1. Let's check another game. Bad move from white, of course. Another bad move. Playing the pawn twice. Look at the result. If you take the good habit of counting the tempi, you'll be a much better player. Here, white has played 1 pawn move, 2, 3 pawn moves, and no pieces. And black, 1 pawn move, 2, 3. Also 3 moves, but 2 pieces developed. You see? That's already a big difference. Black is better, of course. As I said at the beginning of the course, you have to learn how to evaluate a position. That's what we're doing now. We're evaluating this position. And we see that black is better because he has better development in the opening. Let's check this game. Okay, white takes the center. Black also. The bishop is developed. White plays his bishop twice. Black also plays his piece twice. 3 times. 4 times. And now white exchanged this piece that has been moving a lot. And what's the result? What do we see? Black has developed 2 pawns, 2 minor pieces, and white has developed only 1 pawn, 2 minor pieces. The queen is a bit specific, we'll see that later. Now why is that? That's because white has lost tempi by moving the same piece several times. But black did not take advantage of that, because he also moved his pieces several times. Now let's check this example. Pawn to the center, developing a knight, okay. Also developing a minor piece, pawn to the center. So we see here, both players have developed a pawn and a minor piece each. Opening the diagonal for the bishop f1, and black plays his knight a second time. White chases the knight goes back, the knight has lost 2 tempi. Previously we saw that each player had developed 1 pawn and 1 minor piece each. And look now at the position. White has developed 3 pawns and 1 minor piece, and black only 1 pawn and 1 minor piece. So white is ahead in development. All this because black played a useless knight move. The knight played to a square where he could be chased. As soon as he was attacked by a pawn, he had to escape from the attack, thus losing time. And let's look at another example. Pawn to the center, developing a knight, same for black, second knight, developing the bishop, and here white played his knight a second time, attacking the bishop, but playing the knight a second time. Black also plays the bishop a second time to escape the attack. White develops a piece, and black also. Now let's look at the same game again. Pawns to the center, developing the knights, second knight, bishop, and now look, white moved his knight twice to attack the bishop. We know that black retreated his bishop. However, black could have played something else. This bishop is protected by this knight, so there's no real danger for the bishop. Instead of retreating the bishop, black could have played a developing move, which means developing a new piece, for example, developing the knight. So by developing the knight, black avoided losing time with the bishop and gained a tempo. Now, what do we see? White has developed 2 minor pieces and a pawn, and black 3 minor pieces and a pawn. Of course, now if white takes the knight, black can retake the knight with a queen. And look at the situation now. What would we see? Black would have 3 pieces developed and white only 1. So now you know why you should not play the same piece several times in the opening. So this is the end of this lesson. If you want to be notified when I post a new lesson, you may want to subscribe and click the bell. So thanks for watching, and see you in the next lesson.